Time to get serious with Mega March.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mega March with Oops All X's, where we are going through every Mega Man X design that we can get our hands on. My name is Coleman X, and I am joined with...
Twitch from REVO.
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I can't wait to dig into this armor.
Well, you know what they say. Fourth time's a charm.
No, they don't.
The fourth armor is an upgrade of the third armor. It counts.
Fourth time's the charm. Shut up. Okay. We're too stupid to be doing this right now.
We are, and that's what makes it fun.
That is what makes it fun. Oh boy, do I love this armor. Since you're
too.
opening, you take the floor. Lead us into this one.
Alright. Well, as we've said on the last couple episodes, the armors have been incrementing on one another until we get to the ultimate form of the armor that Dr. Light made. And just look at it. It's got fins, it's got a little spiky thing, it's got a cool gem on the front, it's got knee gems. Look at it, it's beautiful.
Look at him go. He's beautiful. This is a beautiful little boy.
It looks like he'd have trouble going through doors with his big old shoulders, but...
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a thing. As bonus level has cosplayed Zero before, and even just with, like, Zero shoulder pads, it is difficult getting through doors because you're so much wider than you become, like, half a person wider.
Okay.
So that's difficult. And then I had another friend of mine who goes usually by Chris Forte, who I've done the Mega Man 7 race with them. They cosplayed as Bass, and Bass's shoulders are even wider. And not only that, but Bass's helmet is really freaking wide because of those helmet fins.
Oh yeah.
So not only is it difficult going through doors, you also can't turn your head very much without bumping your own like body with it. So yeah, Mega Man shoulder pads are ridiculous. That's why shoulder pads in real life cling to your shoulders, because if they stick out that far, that's just not a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that explains why the boss doors are always like a head and a half taller than you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so you can jump through them.
Oh yeah, that's right. Get to do a cool pose.
Yeah. But no, this is a really cool freaking armor, and I love it. This particular armor, in my opinion, carries on some of the feeling of the X3 armor, where it's kind of like Gundam-esque. I think it's X Gundam or Double X Gundam, some sort of Gundam. That has like a gem configuration, the way that this armor does. Like there's one on top and one at the bottom of the chest.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty cool. And in theme with the hovering capabilities of this armor, it's got cool like little like flight fins.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I just think it's super cool. It looks like it's just an all-around good armor. I just love the feel of this one. Like X3 was great. This one is also great. I like this one a little better than X3 because I feel like the details just flow together better. But
it doesn't have the weird underwear thing that goes up. It's flat, just like you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Flat underpants for everyone. I think I just like the way this armor looks. Like symmetrically, it's just very pleasing to the eyes. I especially like seeing the red fins on the ankles and shoulders. That's a nice way to tie it all together with like the red gem covering in the center there. It just makes some nice sight lines, and I just think that's super cool. And yeah, it's just overall great. Yeah, I just love it. I don't know how else to put it. It's just a nice looking armor.
It is. He's got a little head fin, so he can talk to Zero on the phone, get good reception.
Get good reception. Yeah, so when I was younger, I actually didn't like the helmet on this one, because if you look at it and really examine it, it's just X's default helmet, basically. But the more you look at it, the more you realize, like, if they added too much, I think it would, like, be distracting. If I had to change anything, it would be that I would make the dark blue on the helmet white to match the rest of the armor. Because without it, it's just kind of like the ears are white and the crest is white, and then that's it. So the helmet, for whatever reason, is blue primarily, while the rest of the armor is white. So I would have just made the blue part of the helmet, the dark blue part of the helmet, white to make it match the rest of the armor. But otherwise, I have nothing else I could add to this. I just think this is really sick looking armor. It's just very nice, good shapes. The buster is cool looking. I don't know, man. I said I was gonna let you take the floor, and here I am robbing it from you. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I gave it to you. It was a secret.
That's a secret. We passed it onto the desk.
Well, since you mentioned the buster, here we are with the appropriate amount of barrels, but with a twist this time, because there are two styles of charge shot in this. So we got the stock shot, which holds 4 charge shots. Got 4 little barrels there. And then the plasma shot, which also changes the color of the arms, which is my preference. And it must come from those, maybe all 7 at the same time, but definitely the big 3.
That's my guess. Comes out of all 7 at once. I think that's cool. I don't know.
That shot is as big as X. It's huge.
Oh yeah, it's massive. Like anything that gets hit with that is just, it's gone. It's game over. So I also prefer the plasma shot, just from like a gameplay preference. I just think the idea of hurling a gigantic watermelon at someone is just really cool. That it's this big freaking thing. So for destroying normal enemies, that is the preferred shot. But when it comes to taking on bosses, you typically want to fight using the quad charge shot, because you can unleash charge shots more rapidly to deal more damage quicker.
Right.
So that's usually the one that speedrunners go for. Also because it's the first capsule where you find the capsules. It's like, I think that's the one that's in front.
Yeah, it's right in front of you.
So it's better for bosses, which is what most people do, because they make up for the damage of the plasma shot by just mashing really fast. Something like that. So I don't know, it really does come down to preference, and I always wondered why they made 2 arm capsules for this. It's almost like they couldn't decide on what they wanted, and they just stuck 2 capsules, and I don't think they've ever done something like this ever again until X8, but that game was specifically designed around like a part swap mechanic for the armor.
Right.
Where it's like one armor, and then there's different versions of the armor, and you can mix and match whatever you want. So it is a little strange to me that this is the only game up to, at least until then, where it's one cohesive armor, but then there's 2 different arms.
Maybe they were just kind of dipping their toes into what would happen in X5 and X6 with 2 separate armors.
That's possible. That's a good point.
Just seeing if it would work and seeing if it's well received. I mean, maybe. I have no idea.
I mean, it worked for at least 2 games, so...
Yeah. But man, I love the mismatch arms. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but it's just... Like, it's so rebellious, Yeah,
it almost feels like when you have the black arms, it's almost like you're using, it's almost like you're using like a dark power-up or something. It's like, ooh, X isn't supposed to have this, you know what I mean? It's like the more powerful version of the arms.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, that's just what I think of it as, like, you're playing with, unstable powers, X, what are you doing? It's this big, crazy, super thing. I don't know. It's strange to me that they didn't just make both busters the same color, because all you need to do is fire a charge shot to figure out which buster arm you have equipped, and you can swap at any time if you go back to the capsule. So, like, why did they go out of their way to make a black version of the arms? I mean, it's cool.
It's a rule of cool.
I just wish that after you get all of the armor parts, if you go to the capsule, stepping in one will either turn the whole armor black or the whole armor white. I think that would be really cool. That's what I would prefer. I would love to see a version of this armor in all black, harkening back to the black version of the X3 armor. I think that would be really cool. So that's what I think this was like echoing, was like, memories of when they had the black hyperchip armor. That's what this makes me think of anyway. So that's my theory.
It's better than mine.
Oh, what's your theory?
I don't have one.
Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, man, so it's just super cool. This armor has a neat ability that lets it hover, which is not something that you really see in any other game but this one. I guess Axel can hover, so he has a much better hover than this armor. And I know a lot of people are like, oh man, the hover is useless, it's so short. And yeah, it is short, but I also feel that if the hover for like moving left and right was any longer, it would also be overpowered.
Yeah,
I've had moments where I'm just like, if this lasted too long, the game would actually be really laughably easy.
Mm-hmm. Like it lasts a pretty good time if you're not moving at all.
Yeah, I think
but
it's
if you,
like
as soon as
3
you start
to 4
moving,
seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought to do this when I was younger, but I saw speedrunners do this. And also, I figured out to do it when you're fighting Sigma. You should just hover in place and just take pot shots at bosses, and most of the time they don't know what to do because you're like hovering at like an obtuse altitude.
Mm-hmm.
You're not on the ground, you're not on a wall, but you're hovering. And a lot of attacks go across the floor or come up on like the wall. And if you're hovering, neither of those will really work on you. I think I've seen people do it against Final Sigma, where they purposely bait him into doing the eye lasers or throwing his scythe into the ground to shoot electricity along the ground, and then they just jump and hover. And it lasts almost perfectly to line up with the length of that attack as if it was designed that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's how you dodge that. Because, I mean, I have a hard time dodging it otherwise.
Yeah, like, I learned a lot of that from Shadowrock, actually. Like, when you're fighting Big Sig at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just
Big
hover right in front of him and throw soul bodies at him, and he's like, you can't do anything.
I didn't even think of it. Yeah, that's like, it's weird how simple just hovering in place somehow changes the whole game.
Yeah.
But it totally works, and it's fantastic, and I love it. It's just cool.
Yeah.
Of course, you get the air dash, you get a hover. You get, I mean, this armor is one of the most overpowered armors in the entire like franchise, in my opinion.
I mean, that's why the ultimate armor is just based directly on it.
Yes, the ultimate armor, which we will talk about, is literally just the 4th armor, but like unlimited ammo for Nova Strike, and like that's it. It's just unlimited Nova Strike, but with the 4th armor.
Speaking of Nova Strike, I mean, this one does it, and it's like a cool tackle. It looks pretty neat.
Yeah, I know I said in the last one we were gonna tackle the 4th armor. That was a subtle hint, wink wink, about the Nova Strike. Yeah, so the Nova Strike is really sick. It's a little too quick for my liking for how much damage you need to take in order to activate it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that it would activate much quicker so that you could use it more often. But I mean, I guess that's what the ultimate armor's for. But effectively, X jumps into the air a little bit and then does this crazy, like, whoosh, like, shoulder tackle thing. And it makes you 100% totally invulnerable while you do it. And a lot of speedrunners use it, not necessarily as an attack, but to just skip entire segments. It goes about as far as, like, 2 air dashes. Like back to back. It's pretty far.
It's really far, yeah.
The only thing, as I said, that I don't like about it is that, unlike in previous Giga attacks, where, like, or I shouldn't say previous, I guess there's only been, like, one prior to this one, because I don't think X3 really has one.
No.
I mean, X3 has the, like, infinite charge shot
Yeah, it's
thing,
got the hypercharge, but
that's the closest. But, so X2 is, you charge up, you release all of your Mode 7 at once, and it flashes the screen, and it kills everything on screen, like like dropping a bomb in a shoot 'em up or something. In this one, you do like a really quick tackle, and it's cool, but the fact that you have to take so much damage to fill it up just to use it, for such a short payoff, it doesn't really feel very cinematic, and it doesn't really feel very, like, useful. It's great if you use it as the ultimate armor, and you can just kind of, like, spam it, and, like, you feel very, like, look at me, I'm moving around, I could do so much stuff, I have a lot of mobility. But you just don't feel that with the 4th armor, so when you use it, and it only does, like, a very minuscule amount of damage to bosses, like, if it did more damage to bosses, like, and then I'd be like, okay, fine, like, you straight up, fly through a boss like Goku going through, King Piccolo or something. I'd be down with that. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works. So, while it is cool and it is a good speed strategy, I do wish that you could use it more often. That's like my one gripe with it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, just and you know, if you want to make it so you could use it more often, maybe make it weaker. Or if you're only going to get to use it once per stage, maybe make it do a lot of damage. I don't know. You know, that's just, you know. But the other features it has, besides like reduced damage and hovering and air dashing and all the other fun stuff, is probably my favorite feature in any Mega Man armor, which, again, this is what makes it so overpowered. The helmet gives you infinite ammo.
So strong.
Like, that is overpowered. It doesn't seem like it's overpowered, but in the setting of X4, it's very useful to have, like, infinite ammo that you can just spam any weapon you want. Like you said, hover in front of Sigma and just use Soul Body over and over and over and over again. That's super awesome. You can... The only thing it doesn't do is if you use charge attacks, it will still consume weapon energy for charge attacks like normal. But, I mean, if you want, like, to spam, like, Twin Slasher or anything, you can do it. Just go for it. Have fun. And I think that encourages you to experiment with the weapons more.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish more games let you do that, or would encourage you to do that.
Well, you know what? That's a pretty good segue to the next point I want to make about it.
Okay.
This is a detail that has always been there, and I never noticed until the art for the Rising Fire Kotobukiya kit came out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the helmet, I mentioned this in the X2 video, but if you look at the helmet, it's got the dark blue and the light blue.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look over at the Rising Fire colors, it uses 2 shades of red, even though the second shade doesn't match the like the soft parts.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's like its own separate color.
Yep, it's a third color, and you know, I checked in the game, and yeah, that's just how it's always been. I've never noticed.
Yeah, I never realized that either. Like, in all the other artwork, like X's thighs and arms match the light blue that's on the helmet, but then when you equip Rising Fire, the color of his thighs and arms is more white and desaturated, and does not match the armor. So that's kind of an interesting little detail.
Yeah, it's really noticeable with stuff like Ground Hunter, because, you know, it's like blue and pink. So it's like these hugely different colors, and if it was pink on top, it would look really loud and strange, but it's just another shade of blue.
Yeah, I think that they're really clever with what they decide the colors will be for different, you know, I guess they probably figure, like, yeah, if we make this match everything, it's going to look a little, you know, a little overdone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think they did a good job with that. But yeah, that's a good point. I never noticed.
It's a very interesting exception that I've only noticed in second armor and fourth armor. There might be other cases, but I don't remember any off the top of my head.
Yeah. See, now, if we took the dark blue and made it white, or take the light blue and made it white, then you would be able to have the same situation. But I'm glad that this, you know, one little, I don't want to call it an inconsistency, this one little detail happens to be there. I think that's neat that we have this thing that we can talk about.
Yeah. Well, you know, even if you look at the sprites for X4, the soft parts, the light blue, it's more of a green shade than a light blue, but on the helmet it still stays dark blue and light blue, even with the inner parts being a more green color.
I did notice in the sprites, even for default X, he's kind of that color. I wonder if that's just like a PlayStation thing, like maybe making it strictly light blue didn't look as good on screen visually, so they made it like a more teal color.
Maybe it was just like let's give it its own visual identity, you know, because it carried through all the PlayStation games. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. It all worked out in the end, so
I think it's neat.
I think that's cool. Yeah. Once again, I just want to point out some of the Gundam stuff. X's head is seriously Gundam now. That is undeniably a Gundam V-fin on his head. It's smaller, it's not as wide as the one from X3, but it is definitely a Gundam V-fin. Insofar in that the red gem on his head is even like inset into the mohawk as opposed to touching his helmet directly.
Yeah.
In all other versions of X, usually the gem is sitting directly onto his helmet, whereas here it's sitting inside the little mohawk thing. And then the V fins kind of come off of it. Now, I don't know if this is just the coloring. I think it's white, but it always read to me as like silver, which felt like it was calling back to the X2 armor. But I'm not sure if it's actually white or silver. But I just think it's super cool. And one other thing that I really like, which you can see in... Where the heck is it? This picture of X with his back turned, where he's like, you know, he's kind of like dashing, it looks like. You can see that it's almost like there's a Kevlar vest over him. It's like he's wearing armor on top of his normal armor, and I just think that's a cool detail that makes the whole design like just a little bit more busy, and it makes it seem more padded and defensive. And I just really like that attention to detail. I think that's nice. And another thing is they carried over the thick black line from the X1 Buster and also the one from X3. And that thick black line now goes from the elbow to the front of the Buster and wraps around those blue funnels, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I think that's really neat that it does that. And I don't know what it is about X and having those thick stripes on him, but it just looks nice.
It looks really good, yeah. And man, I love like the shark fin on the Buster. It looks so cool.
Yeah, I always thought the shark fin was like a little bit silly, but it grew on me over time, and I'm like, no, you know what? It's cool. It's a shark fin. Deepest, bluest, my hand is like a shark's fin. Or whatever, however that stupid song goes. Deepest, bluest, my Buster's like a shark fin. X is gonna jump out of the water and eat Samuel L. Jackson.
Sounds about right. That's in his character.
I want to see a Mega Man X version of Samuel L. Jackson. Who would he? What would he look like? Who would he be?
He would just be Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he would literally just be Samuel. Like in the credits, it would be Samuel L. Jackson as himself. Like you couldn't even like make a Mega Man version of him. It's just him. He's just in Mega Man now.
He transcends generations and
he does.
Is reborn in 21XX.
Exactly. When the world needed him most, he came back. Oh, but so yeah, fourth armor. I love this thing. I think it's super neat. I love the red fins. Because it hovers and has the Nova Strike, I always like to imagine that the fins on the armor are like fins on an airplane. Like different rudders and you know, tail fins and control thingies. Even though I guess technically they'd be flat against the wind, but whatever, we're not going to talk about that.
Rule of
the point
cool.
is, it's cool. It looks cool. Rule of cool, exactly. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't have too much I can say about besides like the chest and the helmet. Everything else, and the Buster, I guess, but everything else on this armor is just clean, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just good. There's nothing particularly strange or unique that I could point out about it. It is just a solidly good armor.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's it.
I remember back in the day, you know, again, couldn't find any of the capsules except for the legs, and that was it. And, like, I didn't know what it looked like, because in X2, X3, and X1, you know, you see the full armor on the case for the game. Then X4 comes out, I'm like, what does it even look like? And,
that's how I felt. I was anxious. I was like, come on!
Right? Like, I would just scour magazines, because I didn't have a PlayStation, but, like, any, like, issue of PlayStation magazine that, like, covered Mega Man, I'm like, I'm on it. You know, and then there was one, I don't even remember what it was, but I think it was like little mini reviews in the back, and whoever was reviewing it, they had like a little caricature of them drawn, and one of them had the X4 helmet, you know, put on their, you know, their head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is that what it looks like? You know, like I couldn't prove it right or wrong.
I remember the same kind of situation where I played the game for weeks, and I didn't find a single armor capsule. And I'm like, I'm at Sigma. Where is this armor? Like, it was driving me crazy. And then I looked up a guide, and it was just like, oh, the leg capsule? It's right here. And I'm like, really? It's behind this stupid waterfall or whatever it was. That really bothered me. And it's funny because I remember playing through that stage the first time, and I was thinking, like, I'm like, nah, that would be too easy to just hide it in a wall. But, like, no, literally, it was hidden in a wall, and I didn't think to actually go and just check. After I looked up where to get the leg part, I was like, okay, these games usually make it where you need to get one armor part to get the others. Now that I have the leg armor, I should be able to find the other ones on my own. And it took me like 2 more weeks to find any of them, and then I think I found I think I had found all of them except for Cyber Peacock, only because I didn't realize that to get that armor you need to beat the stage in a certain amount of time.
Right.
But all the other ones I did happen to find, but it took me forever. I'm like, ugh.
Well, I remember getting my first glimpse of the armor in game, and that was like me and my friend. Like, I guess he knew the Ultimate Armor code from a magazine or something.
Mm-hmm.
And in cutscenes, when it shows the mugshot, if you have the Ultimate Armor, it just shows the 4th armor.
Mm.
So, you know, I got to see that from the chest up, but again, I wasn't sure because I'd never actually seen it. So I'm like, is this something else? Or what? So it was really confusing.
Literally more mysterious than the Ultimate Armor.
It really is. But no, I love the 4th armor. We've gushed about it before in our favorite armors episode.
Yes,
and
true.
We gushed about it again, and I doubt this will be the last time.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent armor, excellent design, excellent placement in the stages to go get it. Excellent power set that became the standard for Ultimate Armors going forward. Just
Yeah.
A masterpiece.
I mean, it's the final form of the first armor, you know?
Yeah, it is the culmination of all of Dr. Light's work. I think that is a good way to put it.
Good job, Dr. Light.
Yes, good job indeed, Thomas.
Yep. But, I've said my piece, you know, like, it's great. There's not too much that needs to be said. It's just
yeah. I
solid.
feel like we just spent 30 minutes just praising the crap out of this thing just because we love it so much. Like, I don't know. That's all there is. It's just like I said, it's just a good, solid armor. There's nothing that I can like look at that's like, oh, I see what they were doing. They were going for blah blah blah. It's just a good ass armor. Other than that, I guess we're done, right? Is there anything else you want to say?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Good armor. Tell us down in the comments what your favorite ability from the 4th armor is. Mine is definitely the infinite ammo. I just think that's such a good idea, and I wish more armors did that because I would love to play with weapons more. Tell us what is your favorite part of the armor, what looks the coolest. And did you also have any difficulty finding the armor parts?
And tell us, do you prefer red and black arms or blue and white? We're taking the powers out of the equation. Do you want to match, or do you want to make a statement?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want symmetry, or do you want to stand out? So let us know down below.
Yep.
And I guess we will see you as we continue our mega march through all the versions of X, as we move on to X5, which has 2 armors for us to take a look at. Ooh boy. I know one of these is either everyone's favorite and the other one is forgettable, but I think you'll be interested in what we got to say about them. So We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Take care.